the science behind this. Now, why are we experiencing these types of symptoms? Well, for those of you familiar with the Gupta program and the work that we do, you will know that we have a hypothesis as to what causes many of these chronic diseases. And we believe ultimately they are caused in the brain. They're not in the mind, but they're in the brain. And we believe that that nervous system response, that sympathetic nervous system response, is in overdrive, that fight, flight, or freeze response. And that secondly, our immune system is in overdrive as well, causing inflammation throughout the body. And they are stuck because two brain structures, the amygdala and insula, have become conditioned to overreact in an attempt to protect us and keep us alive. It's an overprotection. Now, the issue is when it comes to that fight, flight, or freeze response, that fight response is the anger response. The flight response is the fear response. And the freeze response is a helplessness response where we are frozen with fear and can no longer respond effectively to the situation. And those three responses cause disruption in our brain chemicals, in our neurotransmitters, and in the bodily hormones that we experience. But these experiences of fight or flight are supposed to be temporary experiences, temporary fear, but they become chronic. And that's where the problems then begin. And secondly, when it comes to inflammation is our body's attempt to get our body or rid our bodies of a virus or bacteria or toxin. But when we feel inflamed, that also has emotional effects. So as an example, when you have flu, or when the average person has flu, they will experience a lack of motivation. They will experience fatigue, anxiety, maybe mild depression or depressive thoughts. Now, why is that? Because that is the brain's attempt to stop you doing things so you will rest and lie in bed feeling sorry for yourself, but at least you're resting your nervous and immune systems. So in that threat mode, this is also what's happening. When we have a chronic inflammatory condition, the brain and the body are triggering those types of demotivation responses to exactly get you to rest and do nothing and feel like doing nothing. All those emotions become heightened. And what are the key neurotransmitters and hormones that are being affected here? The first is dopamine. So dopamine is like the reward chemical that gives you motivation or interest and enthusiasm in life. But when we have chronic inflammation or stress, dopamine levels really drop, really go down. And that's one of the fundamental causes behind this emotional dysregulation, these depressive and anxious thoughts that may accompany our condition. And secondly, serotonin. So we know that when there's chronic stress and chronic inflammation, the levels of serotonin go down in the brain. And therefore, regulating your mood is harder. Everything feels more negative. So that's responsible for that dark cloud that seems to hang over our heads. And we have impaired serotonin receptors. We may not feel like socializing, and this may increase our levels of isolation as well. And therefore, this gives us an explanation as to what's going on in the brain. So rather than feeling a victim of these emotional symptoms, we can say, aha, let's put it in context. It's simply a temporary experience in the brain.